Okay, hi everyone, and welcome to our special USCHA webinar from Biolytical. With USCHA going virtual this year, we hope you're all able to stay safe and are enjoying logging in remotely. We hope you'll be able to come by the Biolytical booth if you haven't come already, for the chance to meet our team, Jared, Regina, and Leah Jane. For several years now, we've enjoyed connecting with the HIV community in person at our booth at USCHA. And we've got some amazing memories. The reason for the webinar today is based on feedback from Leah Jane, Jared, and Regina about bringing that shared connection and that in-person experience into the virtual conference. So today we have got two amazing HIV testers with us who are going to share how they use INSTI in their own testing programs. So I will get started with having you introduce yourselves. So maybe let's get started with Mackenzie from 110 Health.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Lauren. Appreciate it. My name is Mackenzie Copley. I'm the co-founder and CEO of 110 Health. We're a DC-based organization that started doing HIV screening, powered by the INSTI kits a few years ago, back in 2017. And really grateful to be here. Wish we were in Puerto Rico, but in lieu of that, I think this is the best viable alternative. So thank you so much, and appreciate being included.
Great, it's great to have you, Mackenzie. And Mario.
Hey everyone, my name is Mario Gray, Program Manager at Us Helping Us. We are a non-profit organization based out of Washington, D.C. as well. We provide a lot of different services, but one of those services is HIV testing, and we utilize INSTI for that. So I'm excited to be here to speak about how we use it, especially during these times.
Awesome. It's so great to have you both. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today out of your busy USCHA schedule.
No worries at all.
Okay, so we're just going to start with a quick video. This is the INSTI 1-minute test. So I think, as Mario and Mackenzie would both likely know, it takes longer to explain INSTI than it actually does to run the test. INSTI can be performed with a simple finger stick with only 1 drop of blood. It can also be used in venous whole blood and plasma. The test is more than 99% accurate, and it is clear waved, and its rapid result makes it easy to include in a variety of workflows. It works well with most testing algorithms. For me personally, the best thing about INSTI is how it's being used in innovative testing programs, including the ones that we're about to hear about from 110 Health and Us Helping Us, which they'll be sharing with us today. We've also been covering a lot about people using INSTI recently in drive-through testing programs just in response to COVID-19. So there are a lot of really interesting and great stories out there about how INSTI is being used. Oh, okay. So we're kind of done with the INSTI pitch and the INSTI information. Let's get started hearing about the organisations that use it and how they're making change in their communities. So first of all, this is Us Helping Us. Mario has kindly shared with us a few images from the testing programs. And Mario, I'd just love to start by hearing about your organisation and how you use INSTI.
Yeah, so like I said during the introduction, we are a nonprofit that has 2 locations in DC and Maryland. We offer testing in office as well as at home testing. That is kind of what we do in these times now, with people not feeling comfortable coming into the office, or just lowering the amount of exposure to COVID that could happen. So we have started an initiative where we allow people to make appointments to come into the office, or if they would like to, we come to their homes and test them there. Of course, with proper PPE, gowns, face shields, all those types of things. But as you can see in the second picture, if we're in office, we have the gowns and the face shields, but we also have a sneeze guard in the testing room, so we can really not have the close interactions to make sure that we keep our clients safe and allow them to still come into the office as well. And we also have a mobile unit that'll be probably on the next slide. We utilize that as well to go out into the communities to test. It has been uh, a great tool for us because we're able to go into different communities, people that may have never even heard of us before, and we're able to use the test to give them a test in less than 5 minutes, go through the counseling, get them linked to other services, and really make it a great experience versus um, making it a really tedious thing or in it a situation where they have blood work sent to labs and things. So definitely with the three methods that we've been using during COVID, INSTI has really aided us in being able to be very flexible with the way that we still provide services.
That's great to hear. And so how was your COVID experience? Did you have to shut down testing at the start, and did you have to do anything in particular to kind of bring testing back?
So we did shut down for maybe a month, but we came back uh, after that month. We were kind of the only place that was open during that time. So we had a lot of people that were contacting us and wanting services, and we knew that we could not stay closed for long. So as a result, that's how we came up with the ideas of making sure that proper PPE was given not only to staff but to our clients as well. Like everyone comes to the office, temperature checked. They all are given masks if they don't have one already, and we keep the waiting room separated so everyone has 6 feet apart. Um, so it's really been a challenge to make sure that everything kind of goes the way that it needs to go. But I think that we've appreciated the challenge, and I think the community appreciated still being able to get those services because a lot of times when they come in for their testing sessions, they say that their primary care doctor is closed, their clinic that they normally go to is closed, all those types of things. So we're still able to provide the services in a different way and make sure that because we know that our community members are still having sex, they could be having condomless sex, they could still be in need of PrEP, they could still be in need of mental health, or they need help with remaining undetectable. So it's a lot of things that still need to happen during COVID. So we've been able to be flexible with that.
That's great to hear. And have you been able to resume testing in the van recently?
Yes, we've done a few different events in the van. There's been like very small sort of collections of people that have really small events in DMV because we moved to I think phase 2. So there's little things going on. So we have took the van out a few times, trying to be as careful as possible because we do know that it is a smaller space, but we have been able to utilize van that, and it helps again that the client doesn't stay on the move unit as long because the test takes a minute. So once we have the test done, we can get them moved along to the next phase of the encounter.
That's great. I know I've had a few people contact me over the summer asking if we knew of any organizations that have been heading back out there in their testing vans, and if they had any tips for other organizations who were maybe a little more cautious to get out there in their testing vans. So it's so exciting to hear that that you have been able to do it and that it's been going well. Would you have any tips for someone thinking about getting started back up with their van?
So I would just say proper cleaning, temperature checks of not only clients but of each employee that's going out to do the testing, making sure there's proper PPE, so there's gowns, there's the face guard, there's the mask, there's all of the different things that you need to stay safe. Um, and testing for COVID. So we, like I said earlier, we test once a month. So I think that just making sure that your employees are staying on top of their testing, sending the results to the to management, making sure that if anyone is reactive for COVID, making sure that they're quarantining and following the rest of the staff that had direct contact with them to make sure that they didn't contract it. Um, all those types of things help with making sure that you're still able to provide services and that your staff is safe.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. I'm sure people will be very excited to hear that, you know, van-based testing is possible again. So that's awesome. And just one more question for you, Mario. How have you been finding promoting HIV testing in the community during this period? Have you found that people are actually in demand of testing services? Like you said, people are still having sex, you know, so they probably still want to get tested. Are you doing any extra promotions?
So we do our normal promotions over Facebook, Instagram, and the monthly newsletter that we send out. But we've also started like an Instagram show called The Living Room that is really great with getting people to come in because it's kind of like a talk show, sort of like Wendy Williams type of thing. But during the show, testing and all of our other services are promoted. So it's kind of the way that things are moving. People are moving towards YouTube and TikTok, and they like watching funny videos and laughing and doing those types of things. So it makes sense to go in that direction to get people to not only identify with your organization with fun and cool and funny things, but also get that message in while they're there, right? So that has definitely helped with getting people in to the office just by the viewership of that show.
I love that. It's just seeing the real people, I guess, behind the testing. It makes it much more encouraging.
Yeah, definitely, and it just makes it feel less clinical, less like sterile. It makes it like a real experience, like we're real people and we relate to what you're going through as well.
Oh, I love that. Well, do you have any other points to share or any more information about testing from us helping us before I move on to Mackenzie?
I think I've shared pretty much everything. Just that I really do appreciate INSTI. I appreciate the packaging. Like I really do like that you all added the little package with the alcohol pad and the pipette and all of that stuff. That helped a lot because that was something that would be an issue sometimes if someone didn't pack all of the supplies and then you couldn't run the test. So that helped a lot. Um, and yeah, I just really appreciate the opportunity to speak on INSTI, and I really love it. So yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Mario. That warms my heart for sure and just makes everything that we're doing in our office just worth it when we hear about how it's, you know, just supporting you to do the work that you do. Love hearing about how the speed helps out, especially, you know, now it's like it seems more relevant than ever. And I was so happy to hear about the fact that you appreciated the addition of the alcohol pad in the little packet. That is definitely one of the things that we try and work on at Biolytical, is just listening to what our customers want and trying to kind of adapt. So yeah, I'm glad that helped. I know I've seen some people have like these cute little bags and they'll put like 10 test kits and do their outreach, and then, you know, when everything is just in that one bag, it just makes things easier. So yeah, thank you so much. So we'll move on now to Mackenzie. So let's hear about your organization, 110 Health, and how you use INSTI.
Yeah. Real quick before we start talking about 110, Mario, I love the name, The Living Room. I think it just hits so well, and it's like, yeah, like where is everyone right now? In their living room, you know, especially like when we talk about like declinicalizing things and like just making HIV like less scary, more approachable, just broadly chiller, and like hopefully a more regular thing for people. I think like bringing in the energy and the vibe and comfort of a living room it like really hits. So like dynamite, really, really cool stuff. And I don't know if you guys like have already squared the branding on it, but like I'm thinking living room, and I see the letters IV at the very beginning. So maybe you have living room, but you could do HIV all lit up in a different color. Kisoff perhaps. Just like I don't know, fun to think on different things. But really cool initiative. Really, really cool.
Thank you. And we'll talk after about that.
Yeah.
This is my favorite thing about the webinars. There's always some kind of like collaboration that seems to come out of these, and afterwards conversations between people. So I love that. And personally, I will probably be trying to tune into the living room as soon as possible.
Right? Make the 2 or 3 of us. Should I talk about 110 a little bit?
Yep, let's go.
Cool. So thanks again for having us on. Really appreciate it. Like a really, really cool opportunity, and we really appreciate you guys. So 110 Health is an organization that we started about 5 years ago now, and we launched events and services, HIV screening in the community in October of 2017. So just past 3 years now, wildly. We do all of our testing, all of our screening out of a 10 by 10 canvas tent, as shown there. When we started the org, way back when we were 21 or so, we didn't have $50,000 of what I call van money. So we thought, well, like, what else can we do that like is HIPAA compliant and kind of checks all the boxes? And a canvas tent came to mind. And so we made it work. And kind of funny because we used to get a hard time about using a tent, but now you look around the city and like everywhere, it's all you see is tent-based testing. So we've been in the tent game for a minute now, and we're very glad to. It gives us flexibility to kind of go wherever people need help, we can go there. But so we, like as an org, we started doing HIV screening. That was our initial service. Then we tacked on prep linkage and actually worked with USCHA helping us. I've been working with Mario for over a year or so to get people pills of prep. We bring them out to the community, and we start people on 10-day sample packs. And it's been a really wonderful program so far, and something that we're excited to grow to in the future. But so in addition to that, the whole idea is like, hey, somebody's going into a grocery store, and we have a tent set up outside, and we just pitch people. Everybody walks in and say, hi, we're doing free HIV screening. It only takes 15 minutes, and it's right there. The whole idea of 110 is just take what people need and put it where they are. Since over the last few months, we have added voter registration to our event, and we might talk about it later, but we had the realization that if we, in our tent, take out the HIV screening kit and put a COVID test kit in there, well, all of a sudden we can start doing COVID testing too. So kind of like, and we've been awarded funds, thankfully. We just won licenses, and so now we're working on a couple other logistics right now. But the vision is to do COVID testing, and then while there's a line going on, maybe a 100-person line or so, we'll do voter registration, and then we partnered with an org that's going to do Narcan education and distribution, trying to take advantage of that time that people otherwise like kind of wasted in line, like maximize help them as much as possible. They'll get up and do the COVID test. That is going to be a 15-minute results period. In the middle of that, we've always been like, we're day one INSTI people. We love INSTI. We like love that it just like maximizes people's time. It's so quick. But during that 15-minute results period for the COVID test, we're going to just pop an INSTI HIV screen right in the middle there. So everybody who comes in to get COVID tested will have the option of getting HIV screened as well. And really excited because what I expect is that it'll bring more people into getting HIV screened than were previously, because maybe somebody walks by and they're going to the grocery store and they're like, oh, like free HIV screening, no, I'm not worried about it, like not worried about it like enough to take an action. But if you flip that to like, oh, I'm already here, I'm already like doing health stuff, I'm already getting tested, and I'm also like a little bit captive for these 15 minutes, like, yeah, all of a sudden, like the free HIV screen that only takes 1 minute is just like even more attractive. So we're excited for that program, but also just the fact that INSTI exists and that you can put a test in the middle of that window is entirely possible because of INSTI. So we're grateful for its existence and excited to roll out the program, see how it goes.
That's great to hear. I remember in our, I think it was our first webinar, we had Tony Kristen Walker from AIDS Alabama, who kind of just gave us this, you know, kind of warning really that having HIV and COVID and not knowing both could be really dangerous for people. So yeah, it's great to hear that you're able, because, you know, just because of INSTI, because of the other tests and because of your format, that you're able to bring people in and test for both. If, you know, especially if they didn't, you know, even think that HIV testing might apply to them or something like that. It's a really, sounds like a great system.
Yeah, we're excited for it. Also, one more thing about it is that we about a year ago we got a wacky idea. Whenever we were out and about, we'd tell people, hey, free HIV screening only takes 15 minutes. You know, not because of the test, but because of the intake and then pre and post screen counseling. The test is only 1 minute. But everybody would always say like, cool, like, what do I get? Mario, you must hear this all the time too. But people would say, what do I get? And we never gave an incentive. For whatever reason, I just didn't really want to give out like the industry standard gift card. I'd really like to. One of the whole thing is to reduce people's stress. And if somebody is stressed about their HIV status, then they don't need an incentive. That's why we didn't include a gift card initially. Now we've come to find out that even if somebody's not worried about it, they could still have HIV or be living with it. So we wanted something anyway. So we started thinking about incentives, and kind of what we landed on, started a year ago, we just launched 4 weeks ago, is we now give out Cbd Gummies to people for getting screened. We partnered with a great organization, local business called Cherry Blossom Cbd, and about 4 weeks ago, a month ago, I was up at their factory bagging up 1,000 Cbd gummies into 500 bags, just kind of like laughing at life, but also like knowing, and then later on being proven that it actually works. And so we've seen it draw people in, and just a fun little thing that we do that I think is bringing even more people HIV screening and to get INSTI tested. So just a fun little tidbit.
That's awesome. And that was actually one of my questions about kind of promoting testing during this time. I know some people have been reluctant to get tested due to COVID concerns and things like that. So is that your main kind of strategy, is the CBD, which is such a cool idea?
It's just so funny. We also, I don't know if I can say it on this platform, but we've also partnered with Grindr, and we have okay, I'll say it. We have a weekly advertisement that goes out to them. They let us advertise for free to everybody who's in a 10-mile radius. And that campaign is called Spread Cheeks, Not HIV. So we've been doing things a little bit differently for a little bit now. And the CBD gummies are kind of like the latest installment of that. To answer your question though, what all we're doing to get people to come in and get tested right now, the CBD gummies for sure, but then just the COVID testing, I think for the first time we'll be offering a service that instead of kind of like bringing to people that like they weren't necessarily looking for necessarily, or they might need like some coaxing, like we're going to be offering a service for our first time that I think people will like block to a little bit, or like go out of their way to acquire in the COVID testing, and we do everything for free always. So it will be nice to have that draw people in, and then for them to already be in that health mindset. I think the HIV screen will be just a very, very easy add-on, something that a lot of people will yes into.
That's amazing. And from your point at the start, please always talk about Grindr. We love to talk about Grindr. And it's
It wasn't so much Grindr that I was worried about talking about. I never know who's going to get mad at me for saying red cheeks, not HIV. But it works, and people come out and get tested, and if it works, it works, and that's literally all we care about. So, yeah, we're having fun too.
Definitely. No, I love it. So just one more page of images from 110. Is there anything else on these that you'd like to talk through, Mackenzie?
Probably just that image in front of the giant. You'll see those purple t-shirts because that was actually last year, September 2019, that we, I think the 21st of September, that we launched with Us Helping Us, that rapid PrEP initiation program. We don't usually have, food and things like that. We're just so resource strapped for the moment. But it was so exciting to have them both come out and also bring that food and that energy and that vibe to it. We got to screen so many people that day. And, I think we started a few on PrEP as well. It's low quality. I have an iPhone 5 Super, as I like to say, and it was younger then, but it was still old. So apologies for the image quality, but the scene, I think is the most important thing. It's a fun day.
Definitely.
Yeah, that was a really fun and great day.
It's cool.
That's so cool. I think people would actually love to hear about your partnership with the Rapid PrEP. Would you both be able to speak to it and how it came about and how it works?
Yeah, I can speak to that. Mario, if you want to toss anything on, feel welcome. Also, I didn't mean to grab the mic, so if you want to go first, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Appreciate it. Yeah, so the idea is just kind of in line with the rest of the things that we do. We take what people need and we put it where they are, because the communities that we serve they're just poor on average, and like when you don't have money, you don't have as much time. The time that you do have is more valuable because you just have less free time of it. So like really just like bringing things that people need to them is like so much what we do. And so through a partnership with Us Helping Us, about a year ago, we launched where somebody can, if they're an appropriate person, appropriate candidate for PrEP, then they can start PrEP that day. The way that it works, and happy to talk details and logistics with somebody on the back end, but like kind of at a high level, they come to us, they do an intake form. During the intake process, they indicate, we tell everyone about PrEP and U equals U. I think it's really important to talk about that, just in case you do get a reactive test. I think U equals U is one of the most important things in HIV right now, and especially in terms of like making one feel a little bit calmer about a positive diagnosis, just that somebody can live a normal lifespan, not worry about harming their partners as well. So, and putting that information in their head prior to the reactive screening seems best, because the brain, its sponginess, I would imagine, just kind of stops to some extent. So just putting that into everyone's head, I think it's really good. But anyways, also in the intake process, we tell everyone about PrEP. And if somebody says that they like it, or they'd like to learn more about it, or if they indicate certain risk factors, then we give them a little piece of paper. And after the negative HIV screen, because you can't give PrEP to somebody who's positive, it's a big no-go, they get navigated over to the van. And then once they're in the van, UHU's van, they go through a process over there as well. I believe they do a second test over there, and they, if all goes well, then they'll leave with both a 10-day sample pack of PrEP, so we can start people like right then, right there. The whole thing is just like, I don't know, make it immediate, help people now, like not tomorrow, not the day after, not the day after that, help them now, because people need help now.
Exactly. Yeah. And then from there, they'll be set up with like a LabCorp appointment and get their labs done and all that type of stuff. But like Mackenzie just said, the most important thing is that they're able to have it right then and there. It's not a situation of, oh, we'll call you and this and that, and then people could lose interest and things like that. So we're able to provide them with the first dosage, and then at that point, they're able to make the decision if they want to continue with it, but they'll already have it in their possession.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and UHU and Mario have done a really good job of helping navigate people. They need to go to a phlebotomist, so they go to LabCorp, and we're actually working on bringing phlebotomy into the van right now. I don't know how much of this is top secret, so if anybody's watching, let's but anyway, this isn't being recorded, right? But then, so yeah, we have like a little form that helps navigate them over to the LabCorp, like a little piece on there, a little like question on there, like, why are you doing this? Because I think like when somebody identifies why they're doing something, then it becomes like more intrinsic to them. Like we won't be there to hold their hand during the entire process. We can for bits and snippets, but having that internal drive, I think is really important. Plus, like the point isn't to just give prep out willy-nilly. You know, the point is to get it to people who want it and who can help. So they go over to LabCorp, and then they go up to us helping us for an in-person appointment, and then they're set up with a full prescription after that. And, we're so thrilled to be able to do it.
It's been pretty awesome, and we've gotten over 100 people onto prep.
And
Wow, that's great.
It's exciting. We're tinkering with it every day, you know, like that, like phlebotomists, like bring them into the van, like not something that we even thought about, but like just as we like start and like you move things from like in the head to on paper to into the real world, to see like, oh, like actually if we can like reduce these number of steps that people need to take to get the thing that they need, you know, like, all right, they have the touch point at the grocery store, the LabCorp, and then the clinic. Well, if we can like take out step 2 and just make it a 2-step process instead of 3, then like we can the follow through and the number of people who enter the filter and then get out with the thing that they need just like increases. And anytime we can make things better and best, that's what we want to do. And it's just been another joy.
A great example of collaboration and joining forces between 2 agencies. Love it.
Definitely, this is it's always been something that we've all needed to do, because you know organizations kind of fight over the same pools of money, so it's always sometimes looked at as a competition. But especially in times like now, we need to stick together so that we all can remain open and remain a resource to our community.
Yeah. And also just like UHU has been awesome. They've been fantastic to work with. Just really, really great. I could rattle off like all of everyone who I've had the pleasure of working with. Just their whole team is fantastic, and just really grateful for their partnership and have really, really enjoyed it.
And in this energy that you see Mackenzie have, he always has it. Like it's 8 o'clock in the morning, we trying to set up. Like he's still exactly like that. It's definitely.
It's not without coffee. I can tell you that a little bit. Appreciate it.
Well, I mean, I feel like I could just close out the webinar now and just have a little emotional moment, because that was so nice to hear from both of you. Loved it, honestly, and how perfect for USCHA, with the theme being family reunion and all about coming together during these tough times. So yeah, that was really great. So I will just close out with a video from Mackenzie's team at 110 Health, just with running the 1-minute test, and then we have one last question for you both. So Mackenzie, is there anything you want to speak to on this video, or is it pretty self-evident how the test is run in the tent in only 1 minute?
Yeah, that was taken this past Sunday out in front of a giant as well. We bounce around in front of grocery stores, laundromats, convenience stores, literally anywhere where people are. We want to bring the thing that they need to where they are. But this is just like a real quick running of the test. If it's a little laggy, it was shot in like 1.5x speed, so it goes like that. But so it's yeah, it's just what goes on. Obviously, it doesn't include like pre or post screen counseling, and those are all volunteers, kind of like playing for a moment. But yeah, that's the general setup.
Amazing. That's great. So my last question is just looking ahead. So into 2021 for each of you and your organizations, what will be most important for HIV testers? Shall we start with Mario?
Sure. For next year, I think the most important thing is to continue to remain safe and not become lax, because you know how things tend to go when it's not as much of a priority anymore. It's not as much on the news. It's not so many people dying from COVID and things like that. I think that we just all need to remain vigilant and remain as safe as possible, because we will still be dealing with this next year. Hopefully we'll have a vaccine at some point, but for the most part, it'll still be something that can really affect staff and really affect our clients. So just remaining, not letting ourselves become lax with our safety measures and continuing to provide services to the community.
Awesome. And Mackenzie?
Yeah. I think just two things. Just keep doing it. HIV screening. The world is so distracting right now in certain ways, and in lots of ways. And it doesn't help that none of us are, or not many of us are in person with coworkers, people, friends, and family to kind of keep us focused and driving on the thing. So just keep doing it, keep going. It's important. People are still sleeping with each other. They're still having fun. It's still like so critical. And then also, if possible, bring it to the people. People don't leave their houses right now nearly as much. So thinking about ways to make it more convenient for them, make it safer for them, make it more comfortable for them, I think are all things that both they would appreciate and might lead to more people getting screened and tested, which is just as important as ever. Right?
Yeah.
Amazing. And were there any points that either of you wanted to share further before we finish up?
I would just say that if you have the capacity to look into meeting clients where they are as far as testing. It seems like we're moving out of the space just waiting for people to come to us and we have to go to them. So definitely, if you have the capacity to and you have the staff that is willing to do those types of things, that's path forward, I believe.
Yeah, and I'd just like to take a moment to give the whole bioanalytical and INSTI team just a big, huge shout out. Yeah, like 100%. Like they've made the 110 model. You guys make the 110 model possible. Like we wouldn't be able to do like 15 minutes all the way through without the INSTI kit. And then beyond just like the product itself, which I think speaks for itself. Like shout out LJ, one of your reps, fantastic, Leah Jane. She's so wonderful. She's like, I call her a 110 OG all the time. You know, she was talking to us before, while we were still on paper, effectively. I remember like I was down in Houston after Hurricane Harvey, helping clean it up, and I walked out of a house that we were just gutting because everything was ruined. And meanwhile, like 2 weeks later, we were having our first ever training of volunteers. You know, we have like 1,600 volunteers now, but there was a day that we had 0. And I called her up because we had this big problem, and I was like, LJ, like, I can train people, but I can't train as many people as like we're gonna need to have on the team in order to get the job done. Like, how can we do this? And she goes, Mackenzie, like, she said, don't worry. And she solved the problem for us. She said, you can train other people to be the trainers. It's so simple, like both the test and the training process. And just, I still remember like walking outside of that like it wasn't a war zone. It was a sunny day, but like it was a disaster zone. Just having LJ on the phone, and she like just solved the problem and helped make the thing happen. And it was before we were anything. You know? So I'm just really grateful to her and for the whole team, as I've had the privilege of getting to know them. You guys are doing good work, and
yeah, definitely. So Leah Jane, I've had the pleasure of working with her several times with my time being here. That's helping us, and she's always been a pleasure. She's really awesome at getting things done. So definitely, LJ is the best.
yeah, 100.
This is so nice to hear. And if anyone wants to swing by and say hi to LJ and see what Mario and Mackenzie are talking about, you will understand. I mean, she's on virtual chat and she's available for meetings along with the rest of our team in our USCHA booth. So please come by and say hi. We're actually giving out a $5 Starbucks gift card for everyone, the first 25 who sign up for meetings. So get your coffee and your meeting. That's pretty much everything from us now. Thank you both, Mackenzie and Mario. You've both been amazing, and thank you for everything that you do. My last question is just, where can people find you? So social media, websites, contacts, you know, if people want to get in touch with you and ask you questions about your programs and how, you know, maybe you've inspired them. Yeah, we can always share it afterwards as well, but if there's any details you'd like to share, please go ahead.
So for Us Helping Us, it's ushelpingus.org. That has all of our email addresses. It has the phone number. And if you're interested in the living room, it's on Instagram at the living room. Hold on, let me make sure that I'm not giving out the wrong thing. It is the living room DMV. If you follow that page, it will send you updates about when the next episode is. It's every the main episode is usually every Wednesday at 6 o'clock, but sometimes there are episodes on other days depending on if there are special occasions or whatnot. So ushelpingus.org and the living room DMV on Instagram.
Beautiful. I wasn't kidding when I said I was going to check out the living room. And then you can just find us at our website and then also on Instagram. The org is called 110 Health. The website is 110health.org. And just broadly, I hope everyone's doing well and staying safe. And the end will come of this, and brighter days will come. And after the Spanish flu back in 1918 or so, right after were the Roaring 20s. So we might just have a big buildup of fun that the universe owes us. And bright days are ahead. Joy and stay safe.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.